In this video, we are going to get straight to the point, doing tier ratings, hero reviews, and kit breakdowns for the 4 amazing heroes, top tier heroes in Watch of Realms, getting the 15x rate up treatment this weekend. We've got Lust, Arrogance, Silas, and Vierna. No intro, no nothing. This video is on the longer side since I go pretty deep into each of the 4 heroes. So I'm going to put chapters embedded in the video, but also you can read them right here, so you can jump around to the heroes you specifically want to learn about. Basically, I'm going to go over per hero, going one by one, giving you all the information you need to know about how that specific hero works, what their bond or partner skill is like, because the rated up heroes in both of these banners features a bond skill pair. So we've got a couple here in Silas and Vierna, and then another couple, another pairing in Lust and Arrogance. And then finally, we will go over tier ratings, and I will tell you exactly how good all these guys are. Let's get into it. All right, guys, let's kick things off with Silas, starting off with his skills. All skills, when they're referenced in this video, will be shown at max skill level. If you want to know what they're like not at maxed, just go to the gallery. Very quickly, I do want to say the reason I want to begin with Silas of these 4 is, 1, he's a definitive triple S hero. He is crazy, one of the very best heroes in the game. But 2, I'm seeing a lot of Silas slander on Discord and YouTube the past couple days saying without his bond skill, he is mid or not even good. He is fantastic. It's just with the bond skill, he becomes a true transcendent god. Get that straight. I'll have a video on it tomorrow comparing him unbonded to bonded. Let's go now with the talent, kick things off. This is a 2-parter, so it's 2 sentences. Each one is a separate thing. Deals 20% extra damage to airborne units. Full stop. Nice, very good for a piercing damage marksman. The second thing now, attacking 5 times triggers soul sniping on the next attack. So every 6 attacks, you get the first normal 5, the 6th one triggers soul sniping. What is soul sniping? That is the meat and potatoes of his kit. Deals 140% damage, so stronger than your typical basic. And then on top of that, ignores 50% of the target's defense. Very strong penetrating damage. Soul sniping does, however, get way stronger during the ultimate. More on that in a second, and then reaches its max insane potential with the bond skill. Let's start with the basic though. Deals 120% damage to 1 enemy, prioritizing airborne units. Now let's go to that ultimate over here. Shadow Cloak. You will see 900 costs, 500 initial costs. It lasts 20 seconds. A lot of times I see people say Silas is not that good, and then I go on their account for a takeover, and he's not max skilled on the ultimate. You absolutely want all his skills maxed out, but absolutely getting the extra 5 second on the ultimate and the 100 reduction in skill cost. That is huge. Damage increases by 80%, and each attack becomes soul sniping. We know soul sniping is really good, right? It's ignoring some defense, it's doing extra damage. However, during the ultimate, instead of ignoring 50% of defense, he is now ignoring 100%, all the defense, and all the magic resistance. This is crazy. It lasts 20 seconds. This is a full, true damage shred where you're ignoring defense and magic resistance, but it's even stronger than true damage because he can still crit and deal loads of crit damage. This is completely broken, completely overpowered. This move is so strong during his ultimate that, yes, he's way better with the bond skill, but he's still utterly fantastic and one of the best single target DPS, even without it, because of how good this ultimate is. Passives now, we've got Blood Pact. If a unit within attack range dies, increases damage by 40% for 10 seconds. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time every 15 seconds. So this can really only be triggered in stuff like Gear Raid 3 or, what is the Furious Torrent Codex, where things are dying a lot. However, it's any unit, so it's ally or target or enemy. So theoretically, in a boss fight, in a Guild Boss 2, a Guild Boss 1, for example, if one of your allies dies, this also will be triggered. It's a nice little bonus. You really see how strong it is, again, in Furious Torrent Codex and in Gear Raid 3. Final passive now, Eye of Curse. After attacking the same target for 5 seconds, so really good for bosses, inflicts Eye of Curse upon the target for 12 seconds. Eye of Curse will be triggered only 1 time every 20 seconds, so it's on a 20-second cycle. When it's triggered, it lasts 12 seconds, so you're talking a 60% uptime. Pretty good. When it's going on, Soul Sniping will also deal an extra 50% damage to whatever target has the Eye of Curse, so very strong against bosses. Now for the bond skill, the thing that makes him crazy. To get this bond skill, and this is true of every single bond skill for all 4 of the heroes we are discussing in this video, all you need is to have the 2 heroes that are part of the bond. You don't need to bring the other hero into battle. You don't need to deploy them. Nothing. The second you pull them, this bond skill will be permanently unlocked. Some people don't know that. It's very nice, very clean. So the second you pull a Vierna, you will permanently unlock Lost Love, this bond skill for Silas. Full stop. You never need to use Vierna. The second you get her, you unlock this. So once you obtain her, during the effect of Shadow Cloak, this is the ultimate. Soul Sniping now deals 100% extra damage. This is way better than it sounds. How does it actually work? So you'd think it's just plus 100% damage. So you get the damage boost multiplier of 80%, and then that's applied to the Soul Sniping damage, which is 140% damage. So you would think it's 240% damage. That is not actually how it works. During Shadow Cloak, remember, you're fully ignoring shredding all magic resistance and defense, so he's good against heavy armor and light armor, common armor, all enemies. What's actually happening is every single hit is a double hit. It's just a 2x on everything. You'll even see a second arrow come. So instead of being this 140% damage with the 80% boost, it is 140% damage twice, or 280% damage total, and then you're getting that big damage boost increase. Absolutely fantastic. Takes him from argument for best single target marksman in the game to definitive full stop. Unbelievable. Best normal hero DPS by far. In certain content, just the best DPS, including exclusive legendary lords, so on and so on. Definitive triple S hero. Before we do those tier ratings, very quickly through the awakenings, you can see my Silas here is awakened level 2. At A1, during the ultimate, during Shadow Cloak, attack speed is just boosted by 100. All of Silas's damage counts as basic attacks, so it's directly affected by attack speed. So even during the ultimate, that's how it happens. That's fantastic. The faster he goes, the faster he's going to put out instances of damage. Beautiful. A2, let's add a little attack, plus 300. As a marksman, he doesn't have the highest base attack, so an additional 300 is very potent. Now the A3, an incredibly potent one, maybe I'll pick it up this weekend. When there are more than 2 marksmen on the field, increases damage of this hero, so Silas, and 1 random allied marksman by 15%. This is mistyped. This is lost in translation. It is not when there are more than 2 marksmen. It is 2 or more marksmen. So as soon as you have got Silas and 1 other marksman, this will be triggered. So to remove the randomness from what ally gets it, make sure the ally you want to get buffed by this A3 is either the first or second hero deployed. If they're the second, make sure Silas was first, and then Silas, and then that desired hero will get the boost. The A4, plus 2 rage regen based on attack. So every time he does a basic attack, the base amount of rage regen generated will be plus 2. Rage regen percentage scales off of this. That is very nice. Finally, the A5, incredibly strong. The Mark of Eye of Curse, this comes from his passive, will increase physical damage to the target by 15%. That is not just physical damage dealt by Silas. It is from all allies that are dealing physical damage. Crazy stuff. Essentially is like a physical damage vulnerability, increased damage taken. However, it does not register as the same thing, so it is stackable with vulnerabilities. This is fantastic. All right, now for the tier ratings. Here we are on my website, fastidious.gg. Any of you guys can check it out. Link is in the description. Best tier list in the realm. This will be very fast. Silas, definitive triple S hero. Only 5 normal non-lord heroes in the game get triple S on my website. Silas is a no-brainer. Best normal DPS in the game, full stop. Boss killer, destroyer, extraordinaire. Good at basically everything. Guild Boss 1, S+. I will say if he's unbonded, he's more of like an A+ or S. Guild Boss 2, definitive S+. Gear Raid 1, he still gets an S here because he's fully shredding magic resistance during his ultimate. Gear Raid 2, not the top tier option, but absolutely works. He can solo DPS it. Gear Raid 3, the best boss killer in the entire game, full stop. The only competitor would be Yovar, but both of them are crazy. Gear Raid 4, not a very top option. Gear Raid 5, honestly, borderline S+ here. Maybe I'll give him the bump. Incredible for this, especially for the left side. AMR for nuking down the boss. There's no one better. Void Rift, maybe the best Void Rift hero in the game. Certainly best, not counting Lords. Campaign, ridiculous. Faction Trials, ridiculous. Now, the biggest surprise on this, I just added this today. Silas is showing up on some of the top 10, 20 teams in the realm in the entire game for Healer Codex for the Golem. That's because people go for the healers, and then they'll just throw Silas in the middle just to get some extra DPS out and burst it through. It works. The scores are huge. Styx, unbelievable, fantastic. One of the very best DPSs for it. Torrent, required for any top team. Guild Wars, good, not remarkable, but very solid S. Single Target, unbelievable. AOE, he works, but he's not a top choice. Anti-air, top teams everywhere. He is completely unbelievable. All right, guys, now Silas's corpsey bride. We have got Vierna, a much simpler kit, except for this one weird passive over here. Obviously, I'm going to break it all down. Let's get into it, starting with the talent. All of her basic attacks, on top of the basic attack normal ability we're going to cover, also are going to inflict something called Mortal Kiss. This is actually a dot, or a damage over time effect. It lasts for 8 seconds, and it's dealing continuous AOE magic damage equal to 25% of Vierna's attack to not just whatever enemy Vierna places this on, but also all surrounding enemies. So it's a nice, proper AOE. You see it lasts in a large range. Additionally, the damage from Mortal Kiss is halved to airborne units, so she's much more focused on ground melee-style units. This also can't be dispelled, so if there's ever big cleansing that comes to the enemies in this game, this will be dispel-proof. That's how Mortal Kiss is going to work. Let's kick it off now with the basic. This deals 120% damage to one enemy. The attack speed bonuses do not affect Vierna. So you don't have to build a single piece of attack speed on Vierna. That basic attack interval cannot be leveled. Even if visually you see it go down, she will always do her basic attacks at what I believe is 2.6 seconds. Let's check that. Yes, so that is hard stopped. You can put as much attack speed as you want her. Her basic attacks will always be coming every 2.6 seconds. It's actually quite nice because you never have to think about attack speed in her builds. You can completely ignore it. This may seem underwhelming for an AOE DPS mage that she has single target on her basic, but when we get to her first passive over here, you'll actually see it turns into a pretty substantial AOE as the fight goes on. Let's go to her ultimate now. It's really her bread and butter. Reaper's Grasp. It is a manual ultimate, 800 costs. You get pretty significant initial costs at 600. This makes Vierna like incredibly good for something like Gear Raid 2, where you want to ult very quickly. For cycling, doing main DPS there, she's one of the her and Hot Set, I think, are the easiest options in the game. You're going to get 900% AOE damage to enemies in range. Additionally, and this is what makes it super special, she will kill any enemy after that hit that has HP at 35% or lower. So if you are at that execution threshold is what they call it. If you are 35% health or less as a target, an enemy in Vierna's range after that ultimate, instant execution. They all just disappear. You can see it in the animation above my head. Pretty fantastic, very unique, incredible for progression, and really good for bursty stuff, newer content like Gear Raid 4, aka Gear Dungeon 1. Let's go to the first passive now. You know I talked about it. This is incredibly strong, especially if you can get her exclusive artifact that makes the soul extraction permanent. Very, very good, but that's something you can't necessarily count on. But if you do have it, she's significantly better with her exclusive artifact. What does soul extraction do? With each enemy killed, the essence will be absorbed into Vierna's staff crystal, accumulating at max skill ups up to 12 souls. Each soul absorbed will increase her attack post-deployment by 3%. So if you've got 12 souls, that's a 36% boost. When there are at least 2 enemy targets in range within the basic attack range, the hero will consume whatever souls she's been harvesting in her staff crystal to increase the target count of her basic attacks. So you can see, if you have 12 souls, you can be hitting 13 enemies. You get the 1 from her normal basic, an additional 13. However, to increase those basic attacks, she needs to consume the souls, which means she is losing them. She's consuming them, thus she loses the attack boost. This, however, is offset by her fantastic exclusive artifact, which you can see from it, soul extraction will no longer consume the souls. Really awesome thing she's got going on there. Now for the most confusing part of her kit, and this actually needs to be covered before the bond skill because the bond skill plays directly into it. She does something called Bone Shield, and a lot of people read this wrong. This essentially is a buff she applies to the ally with the lowest HP percentage that's deployed on her team. The cooldown of this, because generally it cycles at a 30-second clip, you can reduce this though by 2 seconds for every kill she gets. This can go all the way down to 12 seconds. So obviously if you get 9 kills, you can bring it to that minimum level of 12 seconds. That works perfectly because Bone Shield lasts for 12 seconds. What does it actually do? Well, it's interesting because it is a buff on an ally and it is helping that ally, but it's also dealing damage. So essentially it increases physical damage reduction on the ally with the lowest HP, the one she places it on, by 15%. So they're going to take 15% less physical damage. However, it also is like spinning around them, dealing AOE magic damage equal to 20% of Vierna's attack to that ally, but most importantly, to all the enemies surrounding it, which is just amazing. So the ally's kind of taking an L there, taking some health, but hopefully you can heal it up. And then that Bone Shield is dealing a lot of extra AOE damage over time to any surrounding enemies near that ally. This, however, can be offset the damage that ally is taking from her passive bond skill if you pick up Silas. And again, you don't need to bring Silas into battle. The second you get Silas, you unlock this. Now, Bone Shield will also restore extra HP equal to 10% of Vierna's attack to whomever is wearing it. So it is dealing damage to the ally equal to 20% of Vierna's attack per second. However, on the same clip, it's restoring HP equal to 10% attack per second. It offsets it pretty well. It's not like you see her killing her own allies very often at all. Awakenings, very quickly, the A1 reads exceptionally well. When inflicting Mortal Kiss, which is done by all her basic attacks, she places Magic Res Reduction. It gets inflicted. However, unless you have her exclusive, you don't always have the big AOE, the multi-target, all the way up to 13 from her passive because you're consuming the souls a lot. So it doesn't land everywhere in an AOE a lot unless you do have the exclusive. And quite frankly, this magic resistance reduction, which is the magic DPS equivalent to a defense shred, it's only 10%. It's something, but it's not that significant. When I got this, I thought it would be so much stronger than it turned out to be. It's not bad at all, but it's not as OP as it originally at least read to me. The A2 now, pretty darn good. She doesn't have very high attack. It's at like 4,300 base, so an additional 300, that's quite nice. Then the A3, when her ultimate Reaper's Grasp kills an enemy with Mortal Kiss, so that shit she placed from her basic attack, it deals an additional 120% magic damage to all other enemies surrounding it. This is nice because if you're getting a lot of multi-hits on the basic from that Soul Extraction passive, there may be a lot of enemies that are inflicted with Mortal Kiss, so it's a bunch of little AoE bursts. It's quite good. The A4 now, -2 cost. Vierna is 20 cost, which is slightly expensive for an AoE mage. It's like 1 higher than you might expect. This brings it down to 18. Fine. The A5, though, Bone Shield now is dealing double damage to enemies with Mortal Kiss. Again, if you can prevent that Soul Extraction or it cycles well, she's getting a lot of Mortal Kiss placed from the basic attacks. Now Bone Shield, the AoE that comes with it, is going to deal double the damage. That's pretty darn nice. I think her Awakenings overall are not too thrilling. The A3 is probably my favorite. Let's go to tier ratings. Alrighty, again, this one should be pretty quick. It's pretty simple. She's just a big, bursty AoE magic DPS mage. She's an S+ overall. She's just so good at exactly what she does. Guild Boss, not going to be good. Guild Boss 2, not going to be good. Gear Aid 1, this actually needs an upgrade with her exclusive artifact now that I've used it a bunch, especially if you get that Silas bond and use it well. The DPS is crazy. You know, I had her one less because she doesn't bring the utility of someone like a Boreas or a Dahlia. However, the DPS it really is right there with like a Comet or a Boreas. Pretty fantastic stuff. Gear Aid 2, her and Hotsit, the easiest ones to use in the whole game. She's a little harder to build, but if your gear is okay at all, the burst is really easy to cycle. The damage is crazy. Gear Aid 3, you really won't use her there. You could very early on, but you outgrow her quickly. Gear Aid 4, completely goated. I've done a couple guides with her. Go check it out. She just executes. She handles the bottom better than basically anyone. It's like her and Comet, I think, are the very best in the game. Gear Aid 5, nigh unusable. Same for Artifact Material Raid. Void Rift, fantastic. Campaign, the same. Faction Trials, you're going to see S+ for all of this, for all 3 heroes. Styx, literally unusable. I'm giving her a hard F. Arbiter of Frost, Mortal Kiss does count as damage over time, so it is a worthy DPS function, but it just is not up to snuff. You're not going to run a cultist team. Bad choice. Guild Wars, I don't think she's that good. She works, but she's not that special. Single target, meh. AoE, fantastic, but definitely falls off in the end game. And anti-air maybe should be like a C, but you'll outgrow her pretty darn quickly. The main takeaway with Vierna is she's really, really good at what she's good at. And then what really gives her the bump and brings her from the S to S+ is she is what takes Silas to the godly, crazy heights. It is busting time. Let's break down Lust's kit. Kicking it off with the talent. Everyone's very excited for Lust, and for very good reason. You're about to learn that right now. Her talent. For every 2 ultimates activated by faction allies of her faction, which is the Nightmare Council, and this does include her, so Lust herself, the hero will trigger Sinful Lash. This is a very potent thing in her kit. What is Sinful Lash? It deals 400% damage to a random enemy in range. You notice they say enemy here, and that is significant because you'll see with some other stuff in her kit, she can also deal damage to allies. However, interestingly enough, you kind of want her to deal damage to allies because it has a lot of buffing effects for her and the ally as well. Let's go to the basic attack and learn a little bit about that. It's a continuous physical attack, randomly attacks 2 enemies in range 2 times. It deals 100% damage. However, these 2 hits also come with a 15% chance to actually hit an ally instead. If the target she does hit is one of her allies, one of your heroes, she's going to deal damage equal to 5% of the target's current HP. So she can never kill your allies, right? If they have 100% health at the moment she hits them, they will lose 5,000 health. If they have 10,000 health, they'll lose 500 health. It's as simple as that. She doesn't hit her allies very hard. It is totally fine. Let's go to the ultimate now, and you will see Punishing Pace. She's got a very interesting range here. This is like that Dolores range, or maybe the better example is Constance, since like Constance, Lust obviously is a melee unit. During her ultimate, she's going to deal 40% increased damage, and each basic attack, instead of landing 2 lashes, will land 4. That's great. It's a quad hitter. It still comes with the chance to hit her allies, but as we get into the passives, it's kind of nice when she hits her allies. The 4 hits make it more likely she hits her allies, and this will allow her to cycle a lot of the cool stuff in her kit. I love Lust. It's like one of the most unique, thoughtful, interesting kits in the whole game. Characters like Lust, kits like Lust's kit, are what make me love Watcher of Realms. This ultimate lasts for 20 seconds. The first passive now, Ecstasy, plain and simple. Every time she triggers Sinful Lash, which again happens every 2 ultimates by any Nightmare faction ally, including herself, anytime that happens, she's going to boost her attack speed by 40. This stacks 3 times up to 120, and the attack speed boost becomes permanent. So you get 40, then 80, then 120, then you stand steady there. You got it for the rest of the fight. The next passive, where everything gets kind of crazy, Agonizing Delight. So this is what happens when she starts hitting her own allies, when she starts hitting her friends. She's going to gain a 30% damage increase. This is for herself whenever she deals damage to one of her allies with her basic attack, and that lasts 5 seconds. So here's some incentive for her to hit her allies a lot, right? Because as long as she's hitting one ally every 5 seconds, you get 100% uptime on this 30% damage increase. If the target ally belongs to the Nightmare Council, so one of her faction teammates, there's also a 50% chance she's going to give them a rage restoration. So she's going to be a little rage booster, give them 10% rage. This is really strong. A lot of Nightmare units, are putting out a lot of hits at a high clip so they can cycle ults faster. The faster you get them ult cycling, the better. You want her whipping her Nightmare allies as much as possible. You're going to want to put as many Nightmare units in her range as you can. A final thing before her bond skill, you can see with how much basic attack is built into her kit. All of it is basic attack, right? Aside from the Sinful Lash, so she's a great Infernal Roar candidate. But most importantly, the legendary lord of her faction, Torador, comes with his Lord skill, giving all Nightmare units a 30% chance every basic attack to land an extra basic attack. It doesn't synergize better with any hero than Lust. It's crazy because she's getting way more damage, obviously, but a lot more opportunities to hit her allies, hit her Nightmare faction allies. She's rage generating for everybody. She's having basically at that point guaranteed full uptime boost of 30% damage for herself. It's fantastic. Nice and simple bond skill finally over here. You'll see once you get Arrogance, this is permanently unlocked. During the ultimate, she deals 20% extra damage. We love it. And then all damage at any point, ultimate, not from the talent, from the passive, it doesn't matter. All her damage now applies a burning, simple standard burning, 20% continuous magic damage, lasting for 5 seconds. It can stack up. Beautiful stuff. Really fun kit, really unique. Things go haywire, things go crazy when we get into the Awakening, so let's do that now. This is why a lot of people are going to just unload on this banner, because for the big spenders, for the endgame players, our Krakens, all that kind of stuff, A5 Lust is a thing of beauty, but actually all her Awakenings are pretty dang fantastic. A1, Sinful Lash, so when that's triggered by her talent, it is going to inflict a defense reduction on the target of 20%. One of the stronger defense reductions in the game. People like Estrid and Torador get a 30% defense reduction. This is akin to like Ares. However, the uptime is not that crazy. Unless you have a lot of Nightmare units that are ulting all the time, with this lasting only 5 seconds, you'll get decent uptime, but certainly nothing like 100% uptime on this defense reduction. Compare that to Ares, who does it every single attack. That's 100% uptime, or a Torador, or even Estrid if you build her really fast and you've got Awakenings into her. Still, it is nice, but it's not as powerful as I think some people think it is. It might push you over the edge in like Guild Boss 2 if you're pushing for higher stuff, but this is not a make or break Awakening. The A2 plus 300 attack, that's brilliant. The more attack, the better. The A3, we're getting into some really good stuff. Once you get your 3 stacks of Ecstasy, so the additional 40% attack speed every 2 times Sinful Lash is triggered. Once that happens and you're maxed out at the 120, instantly you get a permanent post-deployment 20% attack boost. So let's say you built your Lust with 380 attack speed. She gets another 120 from the 3 stacks of Ecstasy. Now she's up to 500. And then instantly, once that happens, she gets another 20% of that total. So 20% of the 500 attack speed total she now has. That's an additional 100 attack speed. Really strong. She starts going lightning quick. And the faster she's going, the more attack speed, the lower the basic attack interval, the more she's cracking that whip, the better things get. The more opportunities she can do basic attacks to synergize with Torador. The whole thing just synergizes really well. Can you tell that I really, really like her kit? A final thing to mention, those attack speed calculations I just gave are not even considering the Lord skill of a Wrath or a Toreador or any future Nightmare Lords we may get, because obviously they give an attack speed boost as well. The A4, very simple, penetration plus 8%. She's ignoring on all damage an extra 8% defense. Nice penetrating damage. And then the A5, when Lust goes from great to goddess, best DPS in the game for Guild Boss 2. During her ultimate, before all her basic attacks, instead of doing 2 hits, we're doing 4 hits. Now they're doing 6 hits. Each one counts as its own basic attack, more opportunities to whip, give range, permanent uptime at this point on her damage increase. Doesn't matter how slow you build her, tons of damage, lots more opportunities for her to ult cycle, so you get more sinful lashes, so you get more defense reduction. It is brilliant. One of the very best A5s in the whole game. Let's get to tier ratings. Busty, Lusty, what a freak. Like Vierna, unlike Silas, she's not good in every single piece of content. You'll see Arrogance is much more similar to Silas, just being an everyman, amazing at everything. However, the things Lust is awesome at, she is freaking awesome at. So S+ overall, all these heroes are. Crazy weekend for banners and Wanderer of Realms. Guild Boss 1, fantastic. She's on some of the very top teams. She also will be a key piece as you progress in getting you your 50k team if you're going to run Nightmare. I did it with only Wrath as a Lord. When I got my 50k, it was with Pyros and Wrath, so no legendary lords. Lust was one of the units that, even at A0, pushed me over the edge. Guild Boss 2, required for all the top meta Nightmare comps. She brings Arrogance to another level, as you're about to see. She does great DPS. She cycles all the ults of your Nightmare units faster. She gets a defense break when you get her Awakenings, and then her A5, she becomes herself the top DPS in the game. Period 1, A+, Nightmare is not meta, but she can work on a 121 comp if you have to go Nightmare. Gear Raid 2, you can make her work, especially if you're doing Hern and Arrogance. That can DPS all the way through 21. Really, she's going to be best. Nightmare is amazing to progress through 18. I can't put her lower than A+, though, because she can work on 221. Gear Raid 4, not going to be a good option. Gear Raid 5, she's okay, but not special. AMR, she's utterly fantastic. She makes the Nightmare faction sing. Perfect option there. Amazing in AMR. And obviously, she's got a very good range, very unique range for it. Void Rift, this needs to be an S+. She's not so great in normal Void Rift, but when you get to Epilogue, those Nightmare teams are incredible, and she is such a key piece. Campaign, she's great. Faction Trials, obviously, with that range. Conqueror, does she work? Yes. Is she good? Meh. Styx, she can be easily used on triple S teams. She gets out so many hits, especially when you time out her ultimate. Very nice option there. Not like a Setram Helga level option, but one click below. But for Styx, those other guys are like triple S. Arbiter of Frost, this is only if you get Arrogance, but if you do, she has literally burning on every single hit. She's not as good as, Zealot or something, for example, just because Nightmare is not as meta, but she's still very solid. Guild Wars, she's never going to be a top option. Single Target, she is very solid, not amazing. Same thing for AOE. There you have it. Let's go to Arrogance. Arrogance, jack of all trades, master of nearly all trades, one of the very, very best heroes in the game. 5 heroes on my tier list that are normal non-lord heroes are able to get triple S. He is like number 6. He's the one that doesn't get the triple S, but he's like the best S+ on my tier list. A little bit more endgame content, and he'll probably break into that triple S. Completely ridiculous. It is a confusing kit. I'm going to go fairly quickly since not every person is going to need to know all the nitty gritty. Basically, what you need to know is he can do everything. The talent, he can deal damage in 2 ways. He can use his Demon Blades, or he can use his Demon Bow. So the first part, his Demon Bow, when he's using that, he's always inflicting burning on the target. That's when he's like ranged, or he's hitting aerials, things like that. Demon Blades, when he's in his normal stance, you have a 30% chance to increase his attack speed by 40. This stacks up to 3 times and lasts for 10 seconds. You may wonder, what is normal stance? Well, he does enter Berserker stance during the ultimate. More on that in a second. The basic, you see he has this typical range, what I call like the hammer, the 2x3 with the 2 extra down the middle, same as someone like Absent or Zealot or Raka, so on, so on. Deals 120% damage with Demon Blades to one enemy within 1 tile. If there are none in range, he deals single target damage with Demon Bow instead to enemies farther away. This does include airborne units. He absolutely shreds airborne units. The ultimate, let's find out about Berserker stance. He fills out his range to be a 3x4 rectangle. This ultimate comes at a pretty cheap cost, $750. It lasts 20 seconds. It is just fantastic. He's going to enter a Berserker stance. When he's in it, he deals 360% damage with each attack launch and increases his attack range as we just went over. When attacking any distant target, so anyone not right in front of him, the hero's weapon instead is going to transform into a boomerang. This boomerang deals big AoE damage equal to 30% of the damage taken by the main target. So you can think of it as a splash, but because he's putting out such heavy DPS with the main target damage, that 360%, it is a really nice AoE and it's going very quickly with all of his attacks. Additionally, when he is boomeranging his bow, he's inflicting burning on all damaged enemies. One quick thing, this burning is completely unique. It lasts 7 seconds. Nearly all, if not all, other burnings in this game last 5 seconds, except for when heroes start picking up awakenings. If there's anyone I'm forgetting, let me know. I know a Nye goes to 7 seconds, but that's at A5. His burning just always lasts longer. One negative to his burning, but it doesn't matter too much because he puts out so much DPS there already, is he does not land this on Guild Boss 1. They don't let him throw his boomerang as you're seeing in the image in Guild Boss 1, even if you put him further away. It's just a thing. Maybe they think it'd be too OP. Maybe it's bad code. Who knows? Let's go to the first passive. Over here, we have got Infernal Feast. For every 1 enemy killed while in his Berserker stance, so during his ultimate, he receives 1 bonus stack of attack speed from the talent. So again, that's 40 attack speed, stacking up to 3 times. When the stance ends, he heals 180% AoE damage to up to 10 adjacent enemies 2 times. So any 10 enemies in front of him in his range, he's doing a double hitter of 180% pure AoE damage. Nice stuff. You see he's got single target, he's got anti-air stuff, he's got AoE, he's got damage over time. Arrogance does frickin' everything. Devil's Dance, his second passive, Demon Bow / Demon Boomerang. This is when he's doing his range stuff. This comes with a 25% chance to attack 2 targets, so a nice double hitter, very good. The Demon Blades, however, have a 25% chance to land double strikes, so that remains single target, but you still have that 1 in 4 chance. Here, it's just to land double hitters. Nice stuff for Arrogance, you get the picture. Let's go to the bond skill, our simplest bond skill, and aside from Silas, definitely our best. Once you get Lust, during his ultimate, during Hellfire, his attack is increased by 15%. This is post-deployment. This is all you need. It lets the DPS really go brah. It's amazing. If you have an Arrogance, definitely seize this opportunity to pick up Lust, takes him to a whole new level, really just makes him unbelievable. Let's go to the Awakenings very quickly. Awaken level 1. When he's in his Berserker stance, each basic attack launch restores 5% HP. This allows him to solo lanes in certain content. You don't need a healer there. As long as he's got a decent amount of attack speed, especially as you're progressing, he will keep himself healed up. Pretty nice. Crit damage plus 15%. This is good. I would prefer if it was like plus 300 attack, but we'll take what we can get. The A3, now it starts getting really good. Deals 15% extra damage to targets with burning. A lot of content. You're going to be bringing him into bosses and stuff where you're keeping them constantly under burning. If you run him with Lust against a boss, all her damage, once you have Arrogance, which obviously you do if you're running them together, all her damage is landing burning. So it's just a permanent 15% damage boost. And even not against bosses, because when he's doing his range stuff, he puts out really consistent burning. He's going to give himself the boost a lot as well. Day 4, really nice Rage Regen based on his basic attacks +2. So he's just going to be able to ult cycle even faster. The craziest pieces of his kit do come during the ultimate. And then finally, one of the best A5s in the game. Will I pick it up this weekend? I've been sitting at A4 Arrogance for about 5 months. A5 for Arrogance. When he enters the Berserker stance, so during Hellfire, his ultimate, immediately he receives the maximum attack speed boost from his talent. So just straight up 120% attack speed, boom, added on top. And then the first 5 attacks in that Berserker stance deal 100% extra damage. And this is not additive. It is a 2x multiplier. Just double up all the damage he does for the first 5 attacks. It's a beautiful, brilliant thing. Maybe I'll snag it for myself. You know what these ratings are going to be, but let's quickly wrap up with Arrogance's tier ratings. Arrogance is a frickin' god, borderline triple S. Let's go through it. S+ overall. Guild Boss 1, unbelievable, S+. Guild Boss 2, unbelievable, S+, one of the top DPS in the entire game. Gear Aid 1, just like Lust. Nightmare is not meta, but it can work. He gets an A+. Same exact thing as Lust for Gear Aid 2. Gear Aid 3 now, he actually is unbelievable for putting a melee unit in the middle for stages 19 through 21 who can tank damage from the boss, from the little bomber minions she summons, and put out crazy damage as well. There is no one, literally no one in the game better than Arrogance, completely goated. Gear Aid 4, not a great choice. Gear Aid 5, one of the best choices in the game, but not completely elite. If you need some damage on the bottom or the left, he works, but he is outclassed. Very solid S. AMR, unbelievable. Void Rift, obviously unbelievable. And then with the epilogue, he is like key cog on so many different comps for a lot of different things. completely amazing. Campaign, maybe the best campaign hero in the game. I actually should think about that. I'm curious who the best campaign hero in the game is, but he is unbelievable. Faction Trials, unbelievable. Conquer absolutely works, but is worse than you would think. Sticks, kind of the same thing. Very good, but still like not as good as you'd think. Same thing again for Arbiter Frost. Very good, but not a top meta option. Guild Wars, phenomenal. Single Target, very good. AOE, very solid, not amazing. Anti-air, very solid, not amazing. What a brilliant hero. What a brilliant 4 heroes. Guys, I really hope this helped all of you. I know this is a long video, so if you needed to, I hope you skipped around in the chapters. If you did make it to the end, please let me know in the comments. Just say hi. And also, if you made it to the end and you didn't subscribe yet, subscribe. We're trying to hit 18,000, only a couple subscribers away, so that'd be so fun. I've been Fastidious. If you like this content, absolutely let me know. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.